Hello guys, what's up? This is Murtaza. Welcome back to Coder Journey. This is the next episode of our jQuery tutorial. This is actually the seventh episode, right? And in the previous video, I talked about selectors, different ways to select elements and then attach some behavior to those elements. In this video, I'm gonna talk about the different events that you can handle, right? So in the last video, we kind of talked about, hiding an element, and we worked with the click event of a button, right? In this video, I'm going to show you that there are many more events, right, that you can handle, not just the click event. So the click event, I think, is the easiest one to understand, right? So basically, you can, for example, select your button here, right? You can select your button, and then you can attach, a click uh, handler using the function, right? Function, and then you can do something in the function. For example, you can show an alert, right? Uh, an alert, let's say. I'm gonna save, come here, refresh, click, and you can see the alert, right? But there are many more events that you can handle, not just the, click event. And I'm gonna go over the most important ones in this video. For example, one of the other ones, which is very similar to the click event, let me copy this code, is the double click event, right? So the double click event is handled like this. Suppose I want to select this paragraph using its ID, right? First P. And what I want to do is to hide this paragraph when it is double click. In order to get a reference to this paragraph in the body of my function, I'm going to use this, right? And then I'm going to say hide. So basically, this is the paragraph which I am selecting. I am handling its double click event. And in the body, I am getting a reference to this paragraph, and then I am, calling the hide function on it. So when I double click on the paragraph, it needs to be, it's gonna disappear. But let's say that we can set the style, right? We can say the background color, let's say to yellow. I'm gonna save, I'm gonna come here, refresh. This is the paragraph. I'm gonna double click, and as you can see, when I double click, the paragraph will disappear, right? So using double click, you can handle another event, very useful event actually. Another event that I can handle is mouse enter. Mouse enter, as the name suggests, it is executed when your mouse pointer enters that HTML document, HTML element. So let's say I'm going to select this second P, and I'm going to handle the mouse enter event. And I think hiding it will be a good example. I'm going to save the second paragraph, right? This one. I'm going to refresh. Now watch when the mouse enters this paragraph, it will disappear, right? So when I enter it, it will disappear. So this is mouse enter. This is double click. This is the click event, which we are already, familiar with. Of course, this is another event, the ready event, right? So this ready event, actually, the code is executed whenever the document, the HTML document, is fully loaded. A word which is used when we are talking about events is firing an event, right? So an event fires, or it is raised. It means the code inside that event gets executed because that event has occurred, right? So when the click event of the button is fired, or when it is raised, or when it happens, this code will get executed. So more often than not, you will hear the word fire whenever you're talking about, events. Another event that you can handle is the mouse leave event, right? So mouse leave is kind of the counterpart of mouse enter. Mouse leave means whenever the mouse leaves an element. So I'm gonna say mouse leave for this third P. Let's add a simple style to it, right? Let's set the color to blue, right? So I'm gonna say that whenever the mouse leaves this third P, it is gonna, hide. I'm gonna save the file, come here, refresh. So watch, I think I have, yeah, I have added the style to the H tag. Let's put it here, and while we're at it, let's change the color to lime, right? So save, refresh. I'm gonna enter, right? I have not left the element. When I leave the element, right, it's gonna hide, right? So mouse enter and mouse leave are like opposite to one another, right? So, and I'm gonna comment this. No, let's work with this one, right? Let's select the H1 based on its class. Of course, not its class, but the element itself, because its class is used in other elements as well, same class, right? So I'm gonna say the H1, and the event I want to handle is hover. So whenever you are working with the hover event, basically you are going to pass in two functions. So two different functions. This is the first one, and then you're gonna, press, you're gonna put a comma, and then you're gonna, add in the second function. So the first function, right, the first one is executed whenever, the first one, this function, is executed whenever the mouse enters the HTML element, right? And the second one is executed whenever the mouse leaves the HTML element. So basically, hover is kind of a combination for mouse enter and mouse hide, right? I'm sorry, mouse leave. So here, let's put in an alert, right? So here, I'm going to say alert, and then I'm going to say mouse enter. And then here, for this one, I'm going to again say alert, mouse leave, right? So basically, when I am working with hover, I need to pass in two functions. The first one for whenever the mouse enters the element, the second one for whenever the mouse leaves that element. And I am working with the H1. I'm going to save the file, come here, refresh, and watch. Whenever I enter, I get an alert, right? And whenever I leave, I get the next one, mouse leave, right? So again, mouse enter and mouse leave. So this is how mouse enter and mouse leave work in combination to one another to handle the, hover event. There are other events too, which I want to talk about. Let me come here and add another H2 tag, right? I'm gonna add the H2. I don't want the class, and the text, it's gonna be this H2 tag handles the mouse down and mouse up events. There are two other events, mouse down and mouse up. So I am going to, select this element based on its element type, which is H2, right? And then I am going to enter mouse down, right? For mouse down, I'm going to say function. And then I am going to, for example, let's say I am going to show a simple alert probably. And also I want to handle the mouse up event. So mouse down and mouse up. So basically mouse down is fired whenever one of the mouse buttons, the left button, the middle button, or the right button, one of them is pressed down, right? And then the mouse is of course over the HTML element, and then on that element you click one of the mouse buttons. So that's the moment that mouse down will occur, right? And mouse up, of course, is fired whenever you release one of those buttons. So basically, I'm gonna put the alert here and say mouse down and mouse up. I am handling both the mouse down and mouse up events, right, for this h2 element. I'm gonna save the file, come here, I'm gonna refresh. This is the h2 tag. When I come here and I click, I get the event, right? And so let's try it one more time. I'm gonna click, I'm gonna get mouse down, but I'm not gonna get mouse up. So let's do something. For the mouse down, let us put a paragraph here, right, with ID of output, right? And here in the body, I'm gonna select based on the ID, right? The ID is, and then I'm gonna say text, and I'm gonna say mouse down. And the same thing for mouse up. I'm going to delete this one. So I am selecting this paragraph and I am setting its text. Save, come here, refresh, right? And if I come here and click, I get the mouse down, and then you see when I release, I get the mouse up. So when the mouse is down, I get mouse down, and when I release, I get mouse up, right? So this is also, you know, a good combination to handle the mouse down and mouse up events. There are two more events which I would like to talk about. Let us declare an input. I'm gonna say the ID is, for example, sample input, right? And then type is text, and let's save, come here and refresh, and we get the input, right? So for this, what I want to do is to handle the blur event. So I am going to say the ID is sample button, sample input, and the blur event, right? And I'm gonna add in my function. So the blur event and also the focus event. So the focus event is when the element gets focus, and the blur event is it fires when the element loses focus. So for the focus, I am going to say this dot, for example, let's say CSS. I am going to set some CSS here. I am going to say background color. Background color is, for example, for blur, let's say red, right? And then for blur, let's say white, and for focus, let's go with red. So basically, we are selecting the single input element, right, with the ID sample input, and we are handling its blur event and its focus event. Focus, it fires whenever an input element gets focus. Blur is fired whenever an input element loses focus. And then we are selecting the same input element. We are setting some CSS, right? For example, we are setting the background color to white and red. Let me save, refresh, come here, right? So the moment I click and the element gets focus, right, the background color is turned into red. And the moment I press tab, for example, to put the focus to this next element, right, this element's blur event is gonna fire, and that is the moment when this, you know, CSS is set to this input element, right? So you've got focus, you've got blur, you've got mouse up, mouse down, right? You've got hover. Hover was a combination of mouse enter and mouse move with two different functions. Then we've got, you know, mouse enter, mouse move. We got click, double click, and also the ready event, which is fired whenever the document is fully loaded. That was a kind of a long video. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. If that's the case, please give it a like. Also subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, because certainly you don't want to miss out any of my uploads. And I hope to see you in the next video, right? Take care. Bye-bye.